Retainers reach telepathy sooner or later, develop a hive mind together, and are also healers. Not only will we be able to have a telepathic connection between each other, which is especially elevated, but on top of that, we can also become masters in reading other people in general as well. Which is partly, of course, simply because we raise our frequency and develop spiritual gifts. But we are also healers, because when we talk with people, for example, and they have a lower mindset and they are operating from a lower chakra, when we talk with them, we cannot help but operate from a higher chakra when it comes to some topic, no matter what is the topic. And based on our reaction, based on our look, and based on our way of answering, we basically pull the person a little bit up towards our own direction. So when the person is talking about something, somewhere in her energetical system, in the body, somewhere there is the energy that is related to the topic that is currently what is going on. For example, the topic can be dating, and the person has a lower typical mindset that is currently going on, that it's okay to have side chick and whatever. And then you talk with the person, you have the energy about this topic somewhere in a higher place because you are more in virtue state, virtues are more important and stuff. And so when you talk in your own chakra system, you are higher and the person is syncing with you to some degree, and so subconsciously she feels the pull upwards of her own stuck energy towards higher chakras in her own body. But this is not even the topic of this video. It's not about the healing that I wanted to say here. I wanted to mention about the telepathy because it is the introduction to what I will talk about next. One final thing I wanted to say in this regards: since we are able to reach telepathy and such high elevated states, I think it's funny that Sam Altman, the creator of OpenAI, told recently that he thinks the synchronicity already happened and that AI is now smarter than humans. You know what? I will challenge this belief. I don't say it's not possible that AI will be smarter than humans, but so far I don't see it. What I see is that AI is catching up to human level, but AI is fed by human intelligence. So I think it's possible that AI cannot get higher and more sophisticated than the most intelligent humans are. So AI can be smarter than the average person, the average Joe, but it's possible that AI cannot outrun humans. So we are safe, because honestly, yes, it would also be kind of scary if AI would be able to outrun humans. But yeah, that's not what I currently believe. But okay, one last thing I have to say about us being healers. If we all would stop believing for real, not just faking it, if we would stop believing in evil, or it's not even about believing, if we would just not focus on evil anymore at all, then evil would use its stage. And if people focus on something, then they manifest it. So if we would all collectively decide to live in a virtuous way, and we don't participate in this weird negative system where everyone is just trying to get one over the other person and to be on top and to get more money out of it, and the other people have to work for you and you give them low amount of money, like the 9 to 5, for example. If we all just would be virtuous people and so on, and not invest into war and whatever through stocks, for example, if we could do all of this, we could eradicate evil. But the problem is, we incarnated as higher souls who are able to go on retention and even find such information, and who understand spirituality. We incarnated into this 3D planet where most people are not on this level by far. They are super lazy, they don't even know how to flush the toilet properly in many cases, and for them it's normal to ghost and so on. We are living among them, and so the only thing that works in the moment is stoicism, and knowing that at some point the end goal would be that evil gets eradicated. If everyone would be on our level, it would be super easy because a lot of people would hold the energetical field. It would not be a struggle. But until then, we are in a spiritual war. We got for this sent down to earth, and we just do our best. But at some point, you need to understand what really is going on. We are in a reality bubble. And in this reality bubble, negativity exists because people believe in it and put it into the field. We have to heal the planet from that. And what also we have to do is we are pulling in the possibility of retention. The more people are retaining, the easier it will get to retain. It is just the same with new world records that were achieved in the past, for example, in running at the Olympics. Once finally someone proves to the world it's possible, then for the others it's easier to reach to the same level. And right now, retention is very a pioneer thing. Most people don't know about it or don't even believe in it, which further makes it more difficult for those that want to try it, because it's not very part of this energetical matrix that we are living in, and we have to make it more and more prevalent by proving that it is possible. Also, more and more information needs to be created until it's so mainstream that everyone knows exactly what works and what doesn't work, and no experimentation for us pioneers is needed anymore. Until at some point it's so normal to say, hey, you have to go on SR to fix your life. Like nowadays it is to say you need to get a job and you maybe need to work out or something. It needs to be super normalized, and we are not there yet. And at some point we will be, and then fathers will raise their children, tell their sons early on what is important, so that the sons early on can start all the right practices. And so when they reach the age of dating and, whatever, being adult, they already will have all the benefits, and they also don't need to go through hardships, because the hardships will be avoided early on. Okay, but all of this was not even the main topic. So yesterday I was for once alone again, because my girlfriend is on trips. If I'm alone, I like getting high. It always helps me because I reach higher understandings and perspectives, and it synchronizes me brute force with the divine, everything, the universe. I'm super connected synchronistically. And then I was watching Jason Brown, and this is what currently inspired me to talk about telepathy, because sometimes I watch these other YouTubers, especially the retainers, and I'm in such a sync with them. Like, what they talk about is exactly what's going on in my own life again. And here comes the great joke. He is on 280 days, and he is saying like, oh, now at 280 days, I think this is what he said. I think this is the streak count. Now at 280 days, suddenly everyone comes in. It's always happening in 90-day jumps. Now everyone wants something from me. Why now? Why now? You need to go on such a long streak. No, you don't have to. Look, around, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or so, was the last time that I completely relapsed. And now on weekend I had a type of reset, but it was without ejaculation. But the point is, what he's talking about, I am already experiencing, okay? And this is something important. I want to further emphasize this. It's not important to be on so long streaks. If people tell you, ooh, you have to be on such a long streak and then you see the benefits, forget it. It's not true. F them. It's really not true. You can get this much easier, much quicker, even if sometimes you are floppy, because overall you already put in the energy. Even though you got sometimes a bit floppy, overall you already accumulated the energy, the retention, and the mindset, where if you were just on the journey for long enough. So what he was talking about is that a lot of people came to him and reached out and wanted to work with him, but he didn't like the energy of all of them because every time it was kind of suboptimal. So he let them go. Basically, he was on a higher energy than them. And this is the funniest part, because basically what I'm experiencing is even more elevated than his perception. As far as I remember, he didn't mention that there's also people he liked collaborating with, from the ones that reached out. As far as I remember, all of them that reached out to him, he rejected them because they were not the right fit. And for me, I got the right fit. This is the great joke. Let me go a bit back, yeah? So I was working over a year ago still in a startup company. This was my first job and it was very bad. And I think it only happened so that I experienced it once and for the next time know what I want instead. I need to get the negative experience so I can use this energetically to push myself away from it and use it just like a ladder step towards something that is more aligned. I get a negative emotional imprint from the bad job experience, and I can use this to next time. I can use it as an anchor point to find something better next time. I will not have to attract the same crap anymore. Actually, this type of job was exactly what I was fearing my entire life, and this is where I ended up. But I just used it as a stepping step. Therefore, it's also funny to me that it is literally called a startup because it made me start up energetically. Even though afterwards I was going on a little detour where I just had some courses going on and also created this YouTube channel. And I remember how I was still at that job back then, already not feeling so happy about everything. And then I looked at the wall and someone wrote down, the place you start is not the place you will end up. And I took it as a personal message, and now I feel I'm reaching it. On LinkedIn afterwards, during this, weeks and so on, 3 different people reached out to me. I mean, more people reached out, but these 3 are comparable because they offered me sales jobs. The first one was very unserious in my opinion, because I would have to invest my own money, buy stuff, and physical stuff, and then I would have to sell it to other people, and it would be some crap like creams, and I don't want to be the idiot who sells stuff to his friends and stuff that is completely unnecessary, some expensive creams that do nothing. So this was bad. I rejected. Then the next person came up to me, more serious but still not fully, part of a serious company, but it's like an unserious part of the serious company. Ergo Pro is the company in Germany. So yeah, you have to sell financial products to other people. I talked to a friend. I have a friend who is a hacker, very genius. I asked him, hey, can you please scan the company for me? He said, yeah, don't go there, it's bad. Also, I asked Reddit about it. I mean, I looked what the people on Reddit say. They also said it's bad. So I ghosted the guy. Honestly, in this situation, ghosting to me is not an issue. It's not dating. I think in dating it's more rude. Anyway, and then another person reached out to me, and in this case, this is ideal. I have high beliefs. My friend also scanned the company and said I can work with them, and I would have to propose insurances and other financial products to people, but on a free basis. It's not like the company itself is trying to sell their products. No, we are individual, and we are selling only the best, and we are forced by law to act in the interests of our customers. And we really help them because in the end you get something better out of it, where you save more money and you gain more money than with regular insurances and other products. It sounds very, very promising, and this is where I am right now. So yeah, basically what I experienced is the same like with Jason Brown, only in a more positive direction, and I guess that now I will get a job, and I think I will gain above average money from it, and I can work freely whenever I want. I don't have a 9 to 5. I mean, honestly, that's amazing. I was so happy, I had to cry a bit. A kind of spiritual cry, because it was a catharsis and only of my right eye came out one single tear. I was already praying for quite a while to find a dream job. This is one of my most important toolkits. That if you are stuck in your retainer journey, you pray to God and ask for help, and that He opens your eyes to something or gives you some opportunity. But other than that, a morning prayer routine that takes me like 10 seconds, where I pray for me and for my grandpa who is old and kind of sick, and that God helps us, saves us, protects us, and forgives our sins. Then I pray for some personal health things, and to find a dream job, which is manifesting, and I pray every day to not relapse and not edge. And it greatly boosted me towards the right direction. I really feel it is doing that. Yeah, and I take every morning ashwagandha, but I think the effect will take a few weeks to hit. Okay. Also, I already said I'm on the same level like Jason Brown in certain regards, even though he is on a much longer streak. This reminds me of Full Balls. This guy was so braggy and so full of himself because he was on, I don't know, 1.5 years of retention. But recently I found a video of him again and he relapsed 66 days ago, and it's so funny to me when it happens to such people that are so full of themselves. I will not lie. But it's funny because he was also always so full of himself, and when I was commenting he was like, yeah, step in front of the camera, otherwise don't comment here anymore. Like he was thinking that my opinions are not relevant. It's the same guy who is not wanting to bust a nut with women. In my opinion, it's very stupid, and I was commenting on stuff like this. And then he got pissed because of it. But he, even though he was on such a long streak of 1.5 years, and I basically wasn't, and I was edging and stuff, I wrote something to him. I analyzed his character because I'm very good at that. And then on his next video, back then it was already months ago, he said that I am super triggering him. He mentioned me in his video, and he said, this guy, whoever he is, he was talking about me, this guy is looking into the core of my soul, and it really triggers me, and I cannot have it because this is crazy. See, I felt it was such a compliment because he was on a 1.5 year streak, and he said such a thing about me. So yeah, this really pushed me and validated my idea that having a long streak is not everything. Okay. And yeah, I learned how to analyze people in perfection, and I see that the other retainers are not able to do that, because it's not just about retention. It's also something I developed because of my upbringing, because I was in a school and I got kind of bullied and laughed at, and so I learned to avoid everything that could be perceived as awkward or cringe. Of course, if I'm on retention, I can do that easier, or it's not always possible if I'm not on retention. But on top of that, I have high virtues, higher than other people. So for example, ghosting is something I would typically not do, even though sometimes I feel it's justifiable because everyone else is doing that. And so you can sometimes shoot back. But yeah, also I'm unemployable because I simply cannot work a 9 to 5 where some person gets basically 90% of the benefit and I have to work for it and I get a low salary. This is a demonic system, it is animalistic, this is our current state of society, and it is sick. I learned to be zero cringe and find directly if someone else is cringe or awkward because I have sensors for that. I can scan people intuitively because I have learned psychology also through YouTube videos. Same like you can learn a lot about dating and also female psychology. But I learned about general psychology, and every person is just a reflection of yourself. Every person has something that you also can integrate in yourself. So when I talk to a person or see a person, I can directly go very deep and see where the weaknesses of that particular person lie, what the person should normally grow in terms of. Because I decided to completely grow and shred all my shortcomings. I am not one of those people that will say just be authentic and be yourself. No, you can always grow and be a new authentic self. I learned how to be the attractive guy. This pushed me further. So I learned how a guy has to be attractive, that he has to be confident, has to be outspoken. Don't shy back even if you say something that the mainstream doesn't agree with. It doesn't matter because I also identify myself as a warrior for higher virtues, higher understanding, spiritual warrior, starseed who came down to help. So I'm completely free of adjusting to other people and simping around and pretending to be someone and to be one of those weird guys who are thinking it's important to wear designer clothing. This is something I never understood, or that has to flex with money. I reject lower values because I also learned that this is a way I can stand above the regular people. And I needed this because I wanted to stand above all the people that bullied me or were okay with me being bullied and not interfering and keeping it quiet. Low virtue people. So I learned to have high virtues and stick to them, and this just makes me more powerful in the spiritual realm as well, because I'm always protected by the divine, because whatever happens, I know why I did the stuff the way I did. So I have push from God and the angels, and they help me because I am not creating karma to the best of my abilities. If I create karma, then I do it deliberately, on purpose and precisely, because I know that I have some stuck energy and I need to process it. And sometimes having a little evil comment or a little villain face can help you process this energy out of your body, because you need to go into little fights with other people, because you get feedback in this way, and you can therefore transmute the energy that was before that not interacting with the outer world and therefore could not be transmuted. And it's funny because now in retention, if you're on the highest retention state, which I experience oftentimes, then people smile at you, the opposite gender smiles at you, there's zero intimidation. But it's also funny when you are sometimes, if you got floppy or something in the past, and then you go out and people are still attracted but intimidated. And for example, if you go to the bar and you order drinks, the girls will always by mistake make a cup fall and they have to pick it up, or the money falls, because they are so awkward and worried to mess up that it will naturally happen. It's crazy because I used to be this guy myself who was awkward and cringe. So now it's payday, and actually all the other people are getting this exactly back. I reached such a high point that I'm not processing awkwardness and cringeness in my own body and experience anymore, but I outsourced it, and the rest will be processed by my surrounding people, because deep down it is the fault of most of humans that cringeness and awkwardness exists, because humans are too much close to the animal kingdom and they will judge you for stuff that is something they should not judge you, and they will laugh at you. And so they need now to process the rest, because I'm still too vigilant, but I have reason to be too vigilant, and they pick this up, but they don't understand that it's my own insecurity. It's not even insecurity, it's just reasonable vigilance, because I can directly see in other people if they are some people that are worth to be vigilant around them. And then when they see this, they themselves get awkward and cringe. So I process now the rest out of my entire universal experience, but through external other people and not through my own psyche anymore, until this gets also processed out fully, and then this will not be necessary either, and I will connect with everyone just on a positive level, and no one will be intimidated or awkward around me as well. So the typical YouTubers who exist out there will tell you how will you know you're an attractive man, and how even if women kind of stay away from you and they are quiet, sometimes it's just because they are intimidated, and actually you are the attractive guy, you just don't know that. There are many such YouTubers, and I currently saw many of such videos, and I want to tell you, this is not the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is not how they say. They say it's normal that women are intimidated around you because you're attractive. And it's normal that guys test you and provoke you because they are jealous because other girls are with you. No, this is not normal. I mean, it's kind of normal because it's the average experience, but you can go higher, and our true self, this is why I said the other thing is not normal, because for our true self it's not normal. For our higher self that we are having to integrate here, it is not normal. We are ultimately our higher self. We got incarnated onto this low plane of existence here to raise the consciousness, and our higher self, for our higher self, it is not normal to intimidate other people or that guys will test you. None of that. Our higher self looks through the eyes into the soul of the other person, into their eyes, and the person feels touched because she sees your unconditional acceptance and love, and there's zero distance because God is looking at God, and everyone is happy about that and chill. Then you can act with other people as if they are your relatives. your closest relatives, your family members, like from home when you were a child and you could just look your parents into the eyes and there was zero distance, or maybe your sister and brother. And this is how you will, on a perfect streak, be with everyone, and so the entire universe will align in your favor and give you good stuff. And to avoid flatlines, take L-arginine once weekly and maybe sometimes zinc. And then also what you will experience is that animals treat you better. I mean, look, something else I wanted to say. When you intimidate people, this is basically a negative, a suboptimal consciousness state. Another suboptimal consciousness state is, for example, if only older women are attracted to you. I experienced it all. I also experienced when only the 10 out of 10 were attracted to me. I had all the experiences. But if you're in perfection, then also animals treat you differently. They are less scared. A bee would be okay flying onto your flower that you are holding in your hand and take off the nectar. Dogs will no longer be intimidated and bark. You know, after relapse, always dogs are barking annoyingly, I realized. Flies are not scared, which is stupid, because you can punch them away. Normally, if a fly comes into your room or something and I try to punch it, I could not. But on a streak, I can punch it away because it doesn't fly away quickly enough. Because my reflexes are quicker, but also the fly perceives less anger in the energetical field because your chakras are not giving out this energy. And so the fly is more chill and you can punch it away and you can punch it out of your room or whatever. Mouses, recently I saw a mouse, I made a photo, the mouse did not run away, it just froze until I was away. It was eating an apple. And yeah, I mean, birds can come closer, stay by. My friend, the hacker, who I was talking about, also had recently something like this. He is not a retainer, but he has sometimes something going on for him, I guess. A bird came into his room and sat on his shoulder and then flew away. Yeah, so stuff like this can happen.